Now,
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
All right, so it's another day of lousy air here that we have to breathe. It's the Canadians' fault. I think we can take them. And I say, I mean, listen, presidents are always looking for some sort of military distractions when they're heading into a election year, and they've got bad numbers, they got bad economy, they got scandals brewing. This always happens. God knows Biden will take us to war in any possible way if it means salvaging his pathetic political career.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to hell with Ukraine and Russia. Well, let's go for the easy pickings. It's time to invade Canada.
There's no better time.
They're invading us.
Yeah.
What have they got to offer anyway? They haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1993. If you're Canada and you can't win a Stanley Cup, you have no reason to exist anymore.
I agree.
Screw the Commonwealth. Let's go. I'm in a mood.
Is our show going to be about Canada today?
Yeah. Well, that Justin Trudeau guy. Yeah. Did you see the Muslim? Hang on. I'll get to it in a minute. I got a lot to say about Canada. In fact, we're going to start off with Canada. And then and then we'll get to the squad. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. At 7:05, Hung Kao is here to make a big announcement. What could that be? I'm very exciting about that. 7:35, Fairfax County Supervisor Pat Harity. 8:05 is Phil Wegman, latest on the Biden administration, White House news, and a lot of investigations heating up this week. So just like we saw here in Montgomery County, Maryland, where Muslim Americans joined hands with Christians, with secular Americans, with Jewish Americans, and said, no, do not push this destructive, highly sexualized agenda on our children behind our back without our consent. We saw that happen right in our backyard.
Yeah.
We've seen it happening with Asian Americans, Hindu Americans out in Fairfax County with Thomas Jefferson High School.
Yep.
In Loudoun County, God knows, where I just was out last night for a great event with the Republican Party out there in Loudoun County. We're seeing this all over the place here. Well, now we're seeing it in Canada. All right. Did you see this? The Muslims in Canada, and there's a good chunk of Muslims in Canada. I was about to call them Muslim Americans, but they're literally Canadians. Do you ever see? Do you ever? I always like Idris Elba, or some black actor from England, or a black athlete from Great Britain, and someone on ESPN will refer to the black athlete from England as an African American.
I love it.
They
do that. They actually do that in the Olympics all the time.
Yes, when you're watching, look at, we talk about a Jamaican sprinter as an, Usain Bolt. What an amazing icon for the African American. He's not American.
Well, I always think of Patrice.
Can we call them black? Is that okay?
I always think of Patrice. She's not from Africa.
Right.
She's from the Caribbean.
She's not from Africa. She is American.
Right.
Anyway, so the Muslim Americans that are living in Canada. So they are outraged because as bad as things are here, of course, it's usually 10 times worse in Canada because they have unrestrained government. They're not restrained by the Bill of Rights or by the people's voice in the same way that they are here. And also, Justin Trudeau is a virtue-signaling, pathetic little...
I mean, he's the son of Fidel Castro, so you understand.
Enough said,
Right.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
And don't get me started on who Chelsea Clinton's dad is. So... So the Muslims are very angry at Justin Trudeau in Canada, and they're marching and they're protesting, and they're sort of taking their lead from their brother Billboard Chris, where, yes, we're nice Canadians, but we're drawing the line of protecting our children. So this whole uprising, it's not just Loudoun County, Virginia. It's not just the Washington area. It's not just Riley Gaines. It's not just here in the States. This is a worldwide phenomenon. You know that in Europe, Western European nations, in Scandinavia, in the United Kingdom, they have already shut down these medical procedures, the prescription drugs, the puberty blockers, the hormone therapies, and Lord knows the surgical interventions on any minor child. Anyway, forget about parental consent. They've said, no, we're not going to do it here. That's
those Scandinavian countries. Clearly, it's white supremacy.
Well, and that brings us to Justin Trudeau. So Justin Trudeau's trying to do damage control on this thing. Instead of putting out the fires that's poisoning us while we're trying to have a nice summer here, he's trying to tamp out the fire in the Muslim community. He sits down with them and he says, don't you realize you're just being used as tools from right-wing radical Christians. They hate you. They don't like you. They try to undermine you all the time, and you're falling for it. So he's telling these Muslim Canadians who know that their job is to protect their children, he's telling them that they're stupid.
Yes.
And that they're being manipulated by MAGA hat-wearing Trumpy Republicans. And this is why, another reason why we need to invade Canada.
Yes. I'm with you.
I guess all of this is leading up to the point that Canada is broken. They can't put their fires out. They're poisoning our children. Justin Trudeau is a pathetic monster who is blaming conservatives for Muslim Canadians' natural reaction to the highly sexualized curriculum and agenda that they've put forth without the people's consent in Canada. And they can't win a hockey championship.
For all these reasons.
For all these reasons. And you cross the border, you try to fill your car up with gas, and suddenly everything's in liters. Again, it's time to put an end to this madness. They're nothing without us. The only thing they got going for them is the mounted police. Every talented Canadian comes and lives here in America.
This is true. They come here for their medical care.
Thank you.
Right?
So it's time. It's time done. Because all of this is my way of extrapolating on a quick comment that I wanted to make, that the air quality is very bad today. Be careful out there. It's a code orange. You know what that means.
I'm so mad about it.
Do you know
where my vacation is?
No, seriously. Do you know what a code orange is?
I don't know.
Neither do I. Nobody does. Why do they use these colors? I stay inside all the time
anyway. Are you kidding?
That's right. You're about to go on vacation right up on the Canadian border.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh,
I hate Canada.
You know what? Hold on. And now, because you know me, I'm a positive guy. Take a look at the map of the air quality. I think that actually, because Maine is right under Newfoundland, and the way the air patterns go, I think you're actually going to be immune, because most of the smoke is coming from like the more central part.
There'll be a wind. There'll be a gust.
There'll be a big change of wind.
You know my luck.
Yes,
my luck is
the prevailing winds just go wherever Julie is trying to relax.
Yes.
It's just the rule of thumb there. It's a meteorological truth. Justin Trudeau, who, by the way, loves to parade around in blackface.
Oh, yes. Don't forget that.
Knows what's best for your children. And if you dare to step up and say, you know what, maybe parents should have a voice in this. And maybe we shouldn't have the government actually keeping sexual secrets and performing medical procedures on minor children behind their parents' backs. If you dare step up and say that, you are just a tool of the American right-wing, ultra-religious, ultra-MAGA fascist propagandists. And I got to think the Muslims in Canada who are hearing this are just looking at this guy saying, oh, you are so done.
You're done.
You are so done. Or they're going to start working with the Canadian or the American military to invade. I'm not saying that Biden would go after Canada just to save his political career. But I'm saying he will actually invade Canada, just because it's if we have enough of a prevailing sort of attitude here. If there's a drumbeat. You're not on board with that part. But okay, maybe this should be the mandate for the next presidential candidate. I don't want to wait a year.
I know. I get it.
And we can actually, you talk about winning hearts and minds. Remember how we were told that we would be celebrated down the streets of Baghdad by the Iraqi people for liberating them and everything? All we got to do is move like one of our southern hockey teams, like the Tampa Lightning or something. Move it up to Canada. It's like, here, this is part of the trade-off. You're gonna become part of America. We don't have to worry about this silly border business anymore.
Right.
And we'll move a couple of our championship hockey. Move the Golden Knights from Las Vegas up into Ottawa. They'll be fine. The Canadians will be like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a fair trade.
Absolutely. And we'll get it done. It's 5:50. I'm glad we solved that. See, already we're solving problems here in our first 15 minutes.
WMAL. Making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
The news is brought to you by Thompson Creek Windows.
The new WMAL app has arrived. Download it today and listen anywhere in the world.
Leave our kids alone! Leave our kids alone! Many immigrant communities supported Trudeau, and now what's he saying? He's saying the Muslims are being brainwashed. We've always had a concern. It's what's happening in our schools is getting worse and worse and worse. And now they've crossed the red line. Our children are our red line.
Our children are a red line. Good for you. I stand with that Muslim Canadian parent who is being a good dad and protecting his child. And you heard the protesters there in the streets of Ontario.
Leave our kids alone.
Leave our kids alone. Boy, not only is this common sense and ethical and moral, but as I said to the gathering of Republican conservatives in Loudoun County last night, this is a winning message. There's never been a more winning message.
And don't forget it. During Pride Week, I believe it was in New York City, the marchers were saying, "We're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children."
Yeah.
Every single day, we see more evidence that teachers' unions and many agencies are out to sideline parents. We are reacting to what they're, it's always this, conservatives pounce, conservatives.
Oh, yeah, Paul Ryan, I'm not a culture war guy. Listen,
right.
That's part of the problem, actually. This all happened while the leaders like Paul Ryan were focusing on things and just, who cares about the school board? Well, now we do.
Yep.
Now we do, because we put you in charge, we put you in leadership, and you did nothing when you could. And so now we've got to, and we didn't start the culture war, but God knows we're going to finish it. Yep. And we're going to win this. So here's what the Muslim parents taking to the streets, protesting against Justin Trudeau.
Leave our kids alone.
Justin Trudeau decides, he's got to get in front of this. This is a problem. See, here's the thing. If the political left's coalition of splintered racial identity groups breaks apart, they've got nothing. See, they tried to push Marxism in this country for decades, thinking that they could do it the way it was pushed in Western Europe. They said, it's class system, upper class, middle class, lower class. We Americans, we don't identify with that whole thing. We don't have a class system in America because too many great Americans have been able to come from nothing and exceed at the highest levels of our society. So the class warfare crap never really resonated here in America when the left tried to push it. So something changed about 15, 20 years ago and say, no, we're not divided by class, so we can't exploit that anger and that hostility in this country, but we are divided by race and we can exploit that. We're divided by gender. We can exploit that by sex, by sexual identity. So we'll exploit that. It's very concerted. It's very thought through. This is what they call critical theory, whether it's critical race theory, critical gender theory, critical, fill in the blank. That's what this has always been, and that's why we appear to be as divided as we are. And that's the coalition that provides the left, the Marxists in this country, their power. And if that coalition breaks down, if suddenly parts of various ethnic groups or racial groups start to actually coalesce with each other over their ideas, over their principles, over their values, over their faith, over the important things in life and not the unimportant, meaningless things like skin color or national origin or body parts you've got between your legs, if you actually start forming coalitions over the brilliant, important principles that have made this country great, the left loses. They fall apart. The entire thing gets destroyed. And Justin Trudeau knows that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have nothing else to add.
And so here's how Justin Trudeau, just seeing how his coalition of splintered, fractured racial identity groups is starting to fall apart here with the Muslims in Canada. Here's his response.
There is an awful lot of misinformation and disinformation out there. People on social media, particularly fueled by the American right wing, are spreading a lot of untruths. These are people of the far right who have consistently stood against Muslim rights in the Muslim community.
Right.
But they are weaponizing the issue of LGBT.
Here's your answer. Whenever you hear that from your liberal brother-in-law or from your obnoxious neighbor down the street who starts...
Or your daughter who just came home from college.
There you go. Or the woman who starts drinking Chardonnay a little bit too early in the afternoon because her
Hey,
husband
Larry.
makes way too much money in government. And they start saying that, say, oh, you know what? Please, thank you. Thank you, Justin Trudeau. Thank you, Karen Campbell, my neighbor. Thank you. I don't want to spread mistruths. I don't want to spread misinformation. I don't, play innocent. Say, oh my gosh, thank you. Correct the record. Here's my position. Okay, my position is 14-year-old girls should not be exposed to naked male anatomy without their consent. How am I wrong? How is that not the position you are supporting? And help them explain.
You know, I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but former President Barack Obama got on the book banning bandwagon.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday and issued this statement about how these books were a part. He didn't mention the books we're talking about.
Right.
Gender, Queer, Lawn Boy, some of these other books that show sexual violence, pornography, incest, rape that are in middle school and high school libraries. No. He doesn't mention that. And they never do. That's one thing to point out. When
they
some
never actually
lefty,
talk about the actual.
When some lefty says they're banning books, oh my God, it's the Nazis, they're banning books. Look and see if they've given examples of the books that Moms for Liberty, that IWN, that these Muslim parents in America and Canada are concerned about. Nope, they never do. Never do, and that's the tell.
Don't shy away from these conversations. When Justin Trudeau has to sit up there and say the Muslims in his country are being brainwashed by right-wing Republicans in America, you know that you're winning. All right, coming up, listen, we've got some new reports about how the members of the squad are anti-Semitic, racist, quasi-terrorist sympathizers, but you already knew that. It's not really news, but we've got more information about it. But we do have some breaking news here. Barack Obama is virtue signaling and calling conservatives book banners, and he's supporting gay agenda. And well, I guess we already knew that, too. All right, well, just some more information about what we already know about the organized left coming up in a moment.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
Good Tuesday morning, 5:36 here on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for climbing on board with us as we make our way through another exciting day of news, politics, entertainment, and hatred of Canada. Not Canadians, but the Canadian government personified by Justin Trudeau. We welcome the Canadian people as the residents of our new territory. We might even let you keep your name, Canada. But it's happening. 7:05, Hung Kao is going to be here. He wants to tell you what's in his political future, and we're excited to hear it. 7:35, Fairfax County Supervisor Pat Harity, and at 8:05, Phil Wegman. Latest on the Biden administration and the White House. Julie Gunlock, Barack Obama, took to social media and put out a letter that he has written, and it's a very important letter with a very important message. He condemned, quote, profoundly misguided book bans. Now, before we get into the details of this, may I remind everyone that no one is banning any books. Parents, taxpayers, citizens, and elected officials who represent the aforementioned parents, taxpayers, and citizens are deciding with their best judgment whether certain books are not age-appropriate in government-funded school libraries for young children to be able to see without their parents' consent or permission. That's all that's happening. And those books that are in question, in most cases, involve outright pornographic material.
Yeah.
Now, there are some school districts out there who have banned some Mark Twain books because Mark Twain at the time in the 19th century employed the N-word. To Kill a Mockingbird in some school systems has been, and again, I shouldn't say banned, but those parents and those school boards have decided that book should not be a part of the curriculum. Some have picked out Toni Morrison. That does happen here and there in some communities as the school board reflects the sensibilities and morals and ethics of the parents who fund and operate those school systems through their elected representatives. You can quarrel with that. You can disagree with it. But again, none of those books are being banned either. By the way, those school systems that are, in fact, calling into question and perhaps removing Mark Twain or To Kill a Mockingbird from school curriculums or school libraries, those are mostly left-wing liberal Democrat-dominated school systems. All right?
Yeah.
But again, even in those cases, nothing's being banned. Nothing's being banned. That said, what do you make of Barack Obama's letter here that he put forth suggesting that this is all horrific and it's leading us to a fascist state?
You know, this reminds me so much of Bush's supermarket scanner moment, you know, when he was going through and he didn't know the price of basic groceries. Because I feel like, and I feel like I am giving him, Barack Obama, the benefit of the doubt here, but I cannot believe how you know, sort of facts are missing from this letter. It makes me think he has no idea what parents are dealing with, the pornography, the sexual violence, the rape, the incest, the pedophilia that's on display in some of these books.
Yeah.
I mean, Genderqueer and Lawn Boy and many others are extremely disturbing. In fact, I've told this story many times. My organization, IWV, tried to get basically an ad on television showing the blurred images, and it was considered too pornographic to be on television. And yet these are in the hands of 12-year-olds. Yeah. These books are in the hands of 12-year-olds. So I have to say, I'm like, this guy just doesn't know what he's talking about. I know you disagree with that.
Well, I do. I wanted to let you say that because a lot of people say, oh, look how out of touch he is. He's clueless. He doesn't understand what's really going on. He knows very well. Barack Obama is not, say what you will about Barack Obama, he's not a stupid man. He's devilishly smart, demonically intelligent. He knows exactly what's going on there. This is quintessential Barack Obama. He put out this letter on social media. It's like 8 paragraphs long. And he uses verbose, eloquent English words to dance around the reality of the situation. He spends a whole lot of time and a whole lot of words saying a whole lot about this issue without actually getting to what it's really about. That way he converts you saying, well, the free flow of ideas is critically important. This is about the First Amendment. This is about freedom. This is about ideas being debated in the public square. We know that the left are the totalitarians. They're the ones who are the speech police. They're the ones who don't want to. Please, we just talked about a poll yesterday where nearly half of millennials want it to be a criminal act if you misgender someone. That's not coming from the conservatives in this country. That's coming from the left. They're the totalitarians. They're the authoritarians. We know that. This is a man who wiretapped journalists when he was president. So don't tell me about freedom of speech, Barack Obama. We know exactly how you trample on the First Amendment. No. This is Barack Obama fully aware of the reality of the situation without ever actually speaking the words that describe what we are most concerned about. Yesterday on social media, genderqueer was trending. Why? Because of the replies to this Barack Obama letter where everybody said, tell me about genderqueer.
Yeah, put the pictures up.
Put the pictures from genderqueer up. Tell us, hey, Mr. Barack Obama, at what age do you think a child should be able to see these pictures from genderqueer? Because we're deciding as parents that maybe 14 years old is a little too young. But please tell me, when your daughter was 8 years old, would you be okay if some stranger handed her this book? Genderqueer? No, he knows it. Here, let me read a perfect example of the passage. It's not just about books. You provide spaces where people can come together, share ideas, participate in community programs, and access essential civic and educational resources. Say drag queen story hour.
Yes.
Just say the words drag. No, he has to use all these words. Civic, come together and share ideas and participate in community programs. We're okay with community programs as long as it's not drag queen freaking story hour.
Yep.
So he's able to say it without saying it. That's what he's best at.
And Larry, it's a really good point that you're making here, because I do think that for all those people who don't know, I just said, like, maybe Barack Obama has look, his kids are grown. They're out of his young.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Barack Obama knows. It's the people who don't know who see this and say,
might have been, who might, like, a number of these Muslim parents who are waking up to this porn in schools.
Right.
And are like, wait a minute, this seems like a problem. So to all those people who might not fully be aware, not paying attention, maybe they are liberals who don't have kids in school. So a lot of these issues you'll find once your kids are out of schools, you just don't pay attention. And so maybe some of these people are like, is this true? And here comes Barack Obama to reassure everyone that no, this is about community building.
And freedom of speech and the free expression of
LGBT
ideas.
rights
and Mark Twain and Walt Whitman. He mentions Walt Whitman in here. Yeah.
This ain't Lisa Grass, folks.
One other perfect example of Barack Obama-ism and how Barack Obama is gaslighting anyone who's reading this letter. This letter is not an open letter to parents with concerns. This is not an open letter to Muslim Americans or people of faith who are worried about this material being in front of their child. This is not an attempt to reach out to those who actually do have concerns, and then Barack Obama can bring his sage, reasonable wisdom to the table to assuage them and say, no, this is just no. This is an open letter to the librarians in America.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
And that tells you everything, because this is Barack Obama protecting the institution and the people who are in the institutions who are then also members of a very well-funded, very well-organized political movement.
That's right.
Barack Obama doesn't care about the citizens. He doesn't care about parents. He doesn't care about people of faith who have genuine concerns in raising their children. He cares about power. And what gives him his power are these well-funded, well-organized left-wing groups like the Librarians of America. And if you're chuckling, saying, the Librarians, why are they? Oh, no. Look into it. The Librarians of America are an incredibly powerful political group. And anytime you cross them and disagree with them, you are an enemy of the First Amendment. An enemy of the First Amendment, just like a president who would wiretap journalists. And wait, that was Barack Obama, wasn't it? It's fine. Ilhan Omar is very concerned about the temperatures. It's hot, where it's the summer. It's mid-July. I saw a report about how this is the 20th day in a row where temperatures have exceeded 110 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. And I thought to myself immediately what most people thought, which was, it's
Phoenix.
It's Phoenix, Arizona. Freaking desert. I'm outraged that it's over 100 degrees here in the desert of Arizona. Isn't that sort of part of the deal? All right, that's fine. So Ilhan Omar takes to Twitter, and I got to tell you, this is right up there with Hank Johnson saying that Guam is about to tip over.
It is.
This is right on the verge. Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
The Earth just broke the record for the hottest day in 120,000 years.
In fact,
we broke it on 3 separate days. 120,000.
And then she writes, wait, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
National climate emergency now. Let's not forget the goal of all of this, okay?
Yeah. So, I'm no scientist, but...
Oh, my God. Larry.
How exactly did they determine what the temperature was 120,000 years ago? It's such a random number, too. 120, not 150.
I know.
Not 100. Not, 120,000 years. I don't think that there were actually official records back then. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, she's obviously talking about mid-July, 116,539 BC. And everybody knows that was coming off of a major, major climate crisis that was caused by gas stoves. What a freaking moron. All right, Meanwhile, one of her co-squad members, this would be Representative Jayapal of Washington.
Another genius. Genius.
She's at the Netroots conference, which I was shocked was still going on. We used to call it the Nutroots conference.
Yeah, me too.
And pro-Palestinian terrorist activists started screaming from the audience, "Why aren't you talking about Palestine enough?" And so she stood up to try to assuage them with this.
I want you to know that we have been fighting to make it clear that Israel is a racist state, that the Palestinian people deserve self-determination and autonomy.
There you go. Israel is a racist state. This, by the way, at a time when the Joe Biden administration is doing everything they can to undermine Benjamin Netanyahu's government and play footsie with Iran, a regime who has sworn to erase Israel from the map. So not a good look for Democrats. And a few of the leaders spoke out and said, we're started to distance themselves from her. Mm-hmm. So she cleaned up the mess. Here's her apology. Everyone called this an apology. Here's her apology. First of all, as usual, she never says I'm sorry in the apology. And she says, I want to clarify my statement.
Clarify.
I do not believe the idea of Israel as a nation is racist. Oh, thank you so much.
Got it.
There you go. The idea of Israel is not racist. Then here comes the New York Times helping her out, saying, here's the headline, the hysterical overreaction to Jayapal's racist state gaffe.
Yep, it was pouncing. More pouncing.
Yes, it's an overreaction. She tweeted that out, by the way, with this column. The Rush condemn her offhand remarks about raising a political price of speaking about Israel forthrightly. it's easier for Israel's most stalwart boosters to harp on a critic's slight misstatement. Slight misstatement. So she went from quote-unquote apology, which was not an apology, to saying, I don't believe that Israel as an idea is racist.
Right.
And now it's just a slight misstatement.
To which the Republicans pounced.
Yes. And really the real...
we always overreact. I just want to go back to one point, just in case people aren't aware. And I sort of needed to Google this too. Around 100,000 years ago, okay?
Oh, back to Ilhan Omar? Back to the other moron?
Yeah,
okay.
The Earth was going through a period of an ice age.
Really?
Okay, so we didn't keep very good records during the ice age.
No.
I just want to be, clear.
No, absolutely.
It was a rough time. It was a rough time for computers, too.
Strangely, though, weather was still delivered by Al Roker in most outlets, which is an odd thing.
True.
That was before he pooped his pants.